Yes,
I see myself, and I know what he can do in other people because it just blows my mind that he did it with me.
You know, it's so amazing how, you know, the Lord may have put someone with you for you to minister to, and it's like, in a sense, I can't give up on this person because I remember when I went through this, and the same power that brought me through is going to bring this person through. And we know that that's the power of Jesus Christ.
Amen.
You know, and I can honestly say, in my life and those that have been connected to me, that's what kept me pushing, because a lot of them reminded me of Amanda and who I once were and who I am at times, you know, and who God had to bring me out from, you know. A lot of them, they have, you know, because we would have some type of connection from my past to their present, you know. And I remember that girl. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to call her name, but it's a young lady that I was working with. And she's very outspoken, very nonchalant. But when I saw her, I saw pain. And the reason why I saw that pain is because she reminded me of a season of my life where I was the exact same way. And a part of me, just to be honest, wanted to just walk away from her because I was like, I don't have to put up with this. But then the God in me wouldn't allow me to. The God in me said, she is in need of you. Not so much of me, but him working through me. You know, and I had to think back of what God had brought me out of and see a hope for her.
Amen.
So I definitely, you know, can connect to that.
But you feel like, and this is just something where I'm leaning in with you.
Okay.
So God definitely assigns certain people, right?
Absolutely.
Like sometimes he's like that difficult coworker on your job, that one that doesn't really talk about God, but I just need you to keep shining the light around them. Like just continue to be the light of God around them, and it's gonna spark something inside of them that's gonna make them go pick up that Bible and just think about sitting in my presence again and praying with me again. And it's certain people God will put on your heart. But I think what's so powerful is that you knew that the Lord told you that you needed to go.
That's right.
Minister to this person. You didn't go make her your assignment yourself. And that was so powerful to me because that's sometimes what we miss in this walk, right? We get so free. We've seen what it's like to be healed, to go out and just transform people's lives through your testimony. But then there are some people who are not your assignment.
They're not.
There are some people that God did not give to you and say, go do that, go handle that, go be my disciple there. He didn't say that sometimes. And you have to be okay with letting your hands kind of come off of certain things that you think, I might be able to shift that. Maybe not.
That is so true. Sometimes I think we feel that, not that we're saving people, it's God, but we feel like we're called to the world and we're not. I mean, God has an assignment for each and every last one of us, you know, and they're not all the same. Some are similar and some are not. They are different, but God has an assignment for all of us. And sometimes we can really want to help someone and God will say, take your hands off. You know, sometimes we hinder people blessings that way. We hinder people deliverance that way. Because what we do is God can be allowing that person to be put into a corner so that they can call on him and we'll go try and save them. And what happens is it hinders the flow. You know, it hinders what God is trying to do in that person's life. And all of a sudden, you're their saving grace. And I don't want to say it's in vain, but I do want to say it was a good thing, but it wasn't necessarily a God thing.
Yes. My bishop said something so powerful. He says a lot of powerful stuff. But one time, it just really stuck to me because he said sometimes people don't understand that God needs to deal with that person. Like the Holy Spirit needs to deal with that person. So the minute you go in and try to save all the time, at that point, you're no longer working with God. You're working against God. Ooh.
That's good.
And he said, and when you playing for the other team, at that point, that's not an assignment. You know that's not the Lord's assignment. So there's just a part of us that definitely stops what the Holy Spirit is trying to correct, convict, pull off, prune in that person. And I think when we stop trying to, because I got caught up in this sometimes. Some of my friends, I mean, I love people to death. I really do. Now I love people too much. I'm too graceful. Like, and the Lord probably wouldn't agree, but I am. I'm so graceful. I'm always thinking about how I could say this, do this. Like, I'm always navigating everything in my head goes through like a 5 love language analysis. But at the end of the day, God had to sever ties and just bring me to a place where I had to realize what is an assignment and what's not.
Amen.
That's good.
That's real. That's good. I think we have a question.
Okay, Sean Washington would like to know, how did God tailor make both of you uniquely?
I'll let you go, Keneisha. Yes, you are.
You gonna put it on me
Yes,
first?
ma'am. You are my guest. Yes.
The Lord gave me a very deep voice, if I can be completely honest. That is the thing that God gave me. I hated it for a very long time. And then I got to a place in my life. I was 21 years old. I was in a class, and this professor said, I'd never heard it spoken so well. Like, boys had always teased me for how deep my voice was. Like, it was always like that. But then when I would speak, people would listen. I had a whole lot of influence in college. I had a whole lot of influence in my friend groups. When I was young, I would get in trouble for talking in class all the time. But it was one of those things where I didn't realize all that influence needed to be used for God. So I got to a space where God started to change how I saw that thing. And now I'm able to see that when I speak, that's why people listen. That's why people check in. That thing I was so ashamed of for so long is exactly what he used to bring people to his kingdom. So if I had to think of what was just the divine, tailor-made seam, like the thread that just ran through every part of how God made me, it's this voice. It is this. This is the thing that he gave me.
He definitely did. I don't mean to cut you off, but I remember when I first met, I know we had heard of each other, but I remember looking at you from across the table. I'm like, remember I asked you, I said, who are you? Because when you spoke, I heard God. Ooh. And I said, who? And I just asked you, who are you? So I certainly agree with you on that, Miss Tanisha. Wow. So for me, LaShawn, first of all, thank you for your question. For me, I'm still in the dressing room. I'm still being made. But it was through prayer. It has been through prayer. I promote prayer. I promote sacrificial prayer, meaning get out your bed. When you want to sleep, when you only have a few hours to get up, get out your bed and pray. And let me tell you something. I know for a fact that has been my making. I know for a fact that the Lord has used that to tailor-make me, because there would be seasons of prayer in my life where he would tell me to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's not a Amanda thing, it's a God thing. And I think that sometimes when you promote prayer, people don't realize that. It's obedience and it's a God thing. And in the wee hours, mid hours of the morning, the Lord would speak to me while I was on my floor praying. But I realized that during those seasons of prayer, it wasn't about then. It was about what's to come. And I was tailor-made to walk through that situation without being bitter, without being hurt. I was disappointed. And there was some hurt there, but the sting didn't last. Amen. So I was tailor-made through prayer, and God tailor-made me for that moment of pain.
That's good.
He did, girl. He tailor-made me for that moment of pain.
I love that.
But it was through prayer for me. Prayer. So, Keneisha, Miss Keneisha, can you describe the conversation you had with someone that you had to forgive? Like, we want to know the details.
Let me see. I have to think, because I have had a lot of conversations. But I told you about the one with my mom.
Mm-hmm.
But I recently, this is a good one. I had a recent conversation with my brother, and my brother loves me so much. He really does. But we have had, we've always butted heads all of our lives. And I think that my brother, it's so good because God has always used him to be so loving. I tell people all the time, my brother is like one of the nicest people I know. He has a really good heart. He loves people, but he loves people too hard. Mm-hmm. And sometimes he loves the wrong people too hard. And they leverage that love that he has for their own benefit. And so I'm very protective of my brother for what I can control. If I could control it, I would control his friends. I would be like, oh no, you don't need to be friends with her. You don't need to be friends with so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. But like, I never allowed him to get to know me and love on me because we had been through so much. So to an extent, my brother only knew me on a surface level. Okay. And we've been in a world, like, I guess he's been rocking with me 25 years now, 26 years. But my brother recently just kind of told me that he really felt there was a wedge between us. Mm-hmm. He felt that we were not connected the way that he wanted us to be connected. And And I got to a place where he's had this conversation with me every year. He has it every year. But I was in a place to receive him. Praise God. Like God had been dealing with my heart.
Okay.
So when my brother was remorseful, you know, I was actually at a place where I was like, well, you know, these are the kind of things that have always kind of driven a wedge between us. So let's talk about them. Because I had kind of swept them under the rug because I'm at a place too where I love people enough that I don't like conflict now. So I just won't address something.
Yes.
Like you know what it doesn't do?
Yes.
For some people, it doesn't hit a thorn for me.
Mhm.
It's not something that just sits in me and just
Yes.
tears on me. I'm just done
There's
with
a
it.
difference.
I choose to separate myself. I separate from what you said from me. I separate all of that from you even. And I choose to deal with you and love on you the way that I love on you. But it doesn't mean anything to me. But for my brother, I believe there were some things that I let stay. And I was able to tell him that those things were on my heart. Because I couldn't minister to him with that unforgiveness on me.
That's right.
And so when I dealt with that and we put it on the table, and I didn't try to find an answer for what he was saying or over anticipate for what he was going to say, I just let him talk. And I let him acknowledge and speak to the things that I perceived to be a certain way that he may not have been intended to be that way.
Oh, that's good.
I released my expectations of how I wanted him to handle the situation, and I instead let him explain why he didn't handle them that way, and he showed me what his expectations were for it. So then we got to a place where he understood as we grow closer, and as I love on you, I completely forgive you for what I thought you were supposed to be to me. The vessel I thought you were supposed to be, the protector, the lover, the big brother that I thought you were supposed to be, that you couldn't be in my eyes. You were giving your all, it just wasn't my capacity of all.
Yeah.
My boy was giving me a syringe, but I have a bathtub capacity for how I need to be loved sometimes in that area as it relates to a brother. So I had to get to a place where, though it is not my all, it is his all.
That's right.
And I can receive him for that. And I can forgive him, and I can love on him, and I can guide him, and I can have those conversations with him where he wants to be led. But then I also can back up and not choose to tear into him and like do this thing where I'm like, well, you should have done, well, it wouldn't happen if I just take a step back. And I'm like, okay, well, tell me what your plans are. What are you thinking? How do you think you could have handled that differently? I put the ball in his court instead of feeling like I need to fix him or be the one that tells him this is why it didn't work out because blah, blah, blah. I let him take it on now. And I can deal with him differently. And I pray for him. I think about him. I remember him in my prayers at night. I think about his life and where he wants to be. And I want him to be places that he probably don't even want him to be. But I'm happy. I'm happy for him. And I'm able to love on him. And just recently I was helping him plan out how to, go after a job, a new job opportunity. Talk to him about a LinkedIn and just a number of different things that are important when getting a job. Just letting him into that place in my life. Like, because he is my brother, he is someone that I need to reconcile with.
Yes.
If he was anyone else, I could forgive him. And I could kind of just like deal with them. I can navigate how I deal with them, but I don't have a choice with my brother.
No.
I have to love him. I have to be there for him. I have to not necessarily support him and carry him on my back, but I do have to choose to deal with him with the love of God.
That's right.
Every time I interact with him. And so that was probably my most transforming forgiveness conversation. And I forgave him for some very tough things, basically all of the strife that we had dealt with through all of our childhood to now. We put all that on the table and we talked about it like adults. And it transformed both of our lives, I think. I think we're in a good place to build. Our latter days will be much better than our former days.
I
truly believe that.
Wow, that's beautiful. It's just beautiful that he's able to experience the love of God through you. Not only are you loving on him, Keneisha, God's loving on him through you.
Oh, but he's the love. He's a vessel all by himself. He really is the love of God.
Amen.
He's a very
Amen.
sweet man.
Okay, well, thank you so much for that. So I do have a question for you, and we're going to get ready to wrap it up very soon. But tell me about the day you realized God placed you, where God placed you was for you, but it was from Him. So the place that you're in now, how did you know that it was a place where God seated you in your life?
That's good. God broke me down, and He did it with love. He loves you. He will discipline you.
Yes.
He will chastise you. He will deal with you.
Yes.
He will continue to break you and break you and break you and break you until you are where he needs to start building. So God had to break me down, break my pride, break my anger, break my inability to forgive, break my arrogance, break my self-righteousness, break my deception. And he broke me down to where he could build. Like he took everything from me. God took all of everything, all the support I thought I had, everything that everybody was in my corner, gassing me up. By gassing me up, I mean like rooting me on, like telling me that I'm so great, and X, Y, and Z. But like none of these people could speak to my soul. None of them. And God got me in a place where he started to deal with me on my habits, on my friendships. When I said yes to him, he literally said, okay, I'm taking some stuff off of you so I can add some stuff to you. And so I said, okay, God, I don't know what that looks like, but let's go. I don't know why, I don't know. I'm glad I did, but I remember thinking, as I continued to walk with him a little more closely, like he would take certain habits off of me, certain spaces, certain people, but it wasn't like God would just snatch these things. God would let me sit in his word. God would give me a desire to hunger for his word, hunger for being in church, not just for a word, but I'm listening to sermons throughout the week. Because I wanted his word and his thoughts and his ways to just be flowing in every part of my life. And in order to have that divine connection, because sin separates you from God.
Yes, it does.
So when you can't hear God, it's not that his volume is not high. It's just that you've put so much in between y'all that there's no confusion. If I turned on 15 TVs in here and you talked at the same volume, I can't hear you because there's so many distractions.
Yeah.
There's so many other voices. But the minute I turned down all of those things, most all of them, that were distracting me from God, from his presence, from being able to minister out of a clean heart, out of a pure heart.
Yes.
He started to take a lot of different things off of me and just show me what the temple was for. Show me what my body was for. Show me what he placed in me, the glory, what I'm allowing people to have access to every now and then, how they need to handle it a certain way. And if they don't know how to do so, they don't need to be here.
That's
but
right.
how I need to handle it a certain way, right? I can't mishandle my own glory and then I'm confused why everybody else don't know what to do with it. What am I doing with it? So I started to sit with that. And I got to a point where I was like, okay, God, maybe you gave me this body, maybe you gave me this life. So I cut off basically all my social media platforms. I didn't get Instagram until like 2 years later. God showed me, he was like, I want you to give everything back to me. And not just because I'm so holier than thou or anything like that. I just got to a place where I had a special type of hunger for God's presence. I had a hunger my friends didn't want. I was going to Bible study, they kind of started going with me, and then they stopped coming.
Yeah.
So it was just me. I stopped clubbing and everybody stopped inviting me, which is good. But then they also didn't know how to do stuff that wasn't the club. And they didn't want to do anything that wasn't the club. So God started to prune everything around me, but also position things to fill those places with far more than what any of my worldly connections or things could have ever like made me feel whole in. He brought me people that knew how to pray for me. He brought me people that knew how to guide me. He brought me people like LaShawn, praise the Lord, who then now is the only reason that we could be connected at first. But then the Lord just kept a divine connection there.
He did.
But it's little like Sean was so instrumental in this thing because I had to see her. The Lord appointed me to somebody that was living a life that was completely contrary to who they had been for many years. And I was like, wait, you can change like that? Like God can really do that. Like I think he's trying to do that with me right now, but I'm not completely saying yes because I don't know how real it's going to be. But then I sat with her and I heard her testimony and I was able to be like, okay, God, if you did that word, I guess you could do it with me. And so I said yes completely and totally.
Amen.
And that meant people were like just cut out of my life. Slowly but surely, he weaned me off for some people. But then he allowed me to grieve the person that I used to be. And that's something that you don't really hear people talk about in the walk with God. They go submit to all the things God asked them to do. Oh, I'm praying, I'm going to church faithfully. I'm no longer sexually active. I'm celibate. I'm giving myself to the Lord. I'm praying on my face every night. You just warring in the spirit, and that's great. But the Lord will also like very much do something with the testimony where you're in the middle.
That's so true.
Where you're not quite where you want to be. And that part is still very, very instrumental in where you're going. Because if you don't grieve that old man, if you don't grieve and completely just hurt with it and be like, I really miss those things I used to do, but I also know that they are not who God has and what God has for me anymore. It's not where he can bless me. It's not where he can use me. That thing is not, he can't use me effectively with that function in them. So you learn to hate. Not like some over spiritual thought. Mm-hmm. You learn to hate your sin.
Yes.
You hate what you know God does not like. And if you hate it enough, it'll disrupt your peace. If you hate it enough, you can't play in it for too long because it's going to stop everything you're trying to do that you know that's flowing and giving you the light. Your light just not as bright anymore.
That is so true.
So I got to that space where I realized God is trying to bless other people by what he's doing with me in the middle, with those other people gone, with those other connections and outlets gone, but now seeing the people he's placed around me, seeing the opportunities he's now putting at my feet. He couldn't have trusted me with this stuff 2 years ago. He couldn't have trusted me with the influence I have now. He couldn't have trusted me with ministry. God couldn't have trusted me with service. Serving in the church, I couldn't have been trusted with that.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have a right heart. I wasn't pure. I wasn't living pure. I wasn't trying to be a good person. I was just doing what God I thought he asked me to do, but I wasn't doing godly stuff. I was just going to church. So I wasn't serving, but it's certain things that I stopped letting the Instagram followers, the stuff that kind of fake makes you feel loved, having people tell me I'm beautiful all the time, sliding in my DMs. I let all of that go to literally just be dry, just me and the Lord. And he started to build me back up.
I honestly can connect with that. And I don't know, I think it's more common than what we deem it to be. Mm-hmm. And I may be wrong because I say that because, no, you don't hear people a lot of time voicing that, right? But I can tell you that I can relate to that. I remember when I had to shut my Facebook down. I don't really know anything about Instagram, but I don't know that much. But my Facebook, I had to shut my Facebook down for a season. There were certain people I could not communicate with. And what I had to do is I had to seek the face of God. I had to seek God's face. And it was because he needed to do something in me. Amen. There were some things in me that craved the attention, that wanted to look good and needed the acknowledgement, basically, you know. And what he did was things that would draw me away from him, things that would interfere with my prayer life, with me reading my word. Those were the things that it was a decision I had to make, right? So he told me what to do, gave me instruction, but I had to be obedient. So I logged off of Facebook for a season. I didn't talk on the phone as much, you know. And what I did was I spent intimate time with God. And during the time that I spent intimate time with him, God began to reveal that part of me that he wanted to clean up.
Amen. Ooh, that's it.
So
that's it.
We're going to go ahead and shift because we're getting ready to close. Speaking of LaShawn Washington, your mentor.
I love Sean.
As great as she is.
Sean.
So I just gave you up, Sean, but she whispered a little saying in my ear. She said 2 words to me. She said, God glow.
Oh, Lord.
And I heard you used God glow. Can you give us a brief description of God glow?
Yes. So God gave me this thing where I just say stuff, and I have no idea what I'm saying. But I'm just letting the Spirit lead me, and so the Spirit just gave me that term when I taught my first Bible study for her. For her Bible study, she trusted me with her people. It was so beautiful. It then literally kicked off mine. But he gave me God glow. He gave me, it's basically when you just exude the love of God, when you exude God's presence, when your mouth opens. And so you know how some people, you just know, oh, they got that oil. Okay. Okay, okay, you anointed. I see. But it's not even just some overpowering anointing. It is how you live completely and totally secure in your identity in Christ, and how you live that out in your daily life.
Okay.
That is the God glow. It is you almost can't turn it off, but it's just who you are. You ultimately live out your walk with Christ faithfully in everything that you do, and everything around you, how you deal with people, how you love on them, and every now and then your God glow is dim. Every now and then. Sometimes it's not at 10. But you got to make sure it's got to be at 10. Everybody has a unique God glow. Some people are just really kind. Like I talked about Kylie earlier.
Yeah.
Kylie has a God glow. Her God glow, though, and by God glow, it's certain pieces of Jesus Christ. Because some people may not give you all of Jesus all at once, but some people just have that love thing flowing. Some people just have that empathy thing. Some people have that comforting thing. They just know how to comfort. They know what to say. They don't run from the person crying at the job. They sit with them.
Yes,
They lean into that hurtful thing that they may or may not care to be attached to, but they want to support that person in that moment when everybody else ran away. So it's that. It's just exuding that and living in that. And regardless, because I used to struggle with this, like because of who I was for so long, I really just like wasn't trying to shine my God glow like that because I knew too many people knew me another way. They knew me when I wasn't like this. They got way more memories with me being Turner Queen. Like, I'm awesome and I'm out there and I'm great and I'm fun and I'm the life of the party, but I am not whole and I'm problematic and the Lord needed to deal with me. But I realized, like, I'm in a place where I'm secure in who God called me to be. With all of those things, whoever somebody else knows me to be before I became who God called me to be and started fighting daily to become that person, all of those memories are great. I will never run from them because they are literally the platform for which He will bring people to me. Because you show those things, and yes, that was very much who I was at that time. But this is who I am now. And it's having that unapologetically saved flair about you.
Yes.
Unapologetically saved.
Amen.
And that's the God glow.
You know what, Keneisha, that sat on me. That's really why I asked you about the God glow today. Even though I heard about it a while back and I thought it was extremely cute, but after I got over the cute part, I began to tell God, I want my God glow back. You know, I was like, I need it back, God. And then the Lord just began to deal with me. It's okay. All your insecurities, whatever issues you're struggling with, Amanda, it's okay. You can admit them. You know, you don't have to hide them. And you know what?
You glow with them.
Yes.
You stand on them. They are you literally take dominion over them.
Yes.
When you stop trying to think that those things make you less perfect in God's eyes.
That is so true. It helped me in the area of being able to stand, being able to speak, being able to look someone in the face and say, this is what this is. You know, and if you don't like it, I love you, but you have to get over it.
Ooh.
Because this is who God has created me to be. You know, and I thank God for the God glow, you know. And when I'm praise God, I give God the glory. But let me tell you, that's my prayer. Father God, restore my God glow.
Amen. Who knew? Sean, you're in trouble. But
so I just want to thank you, Keneisha, Tanae, for coming out tonight, from sharing your beautiful testimony with us. I know that somebody's been blessed. I know I'm blessed. I know that I have been blessed by the words that have came out of your mouth because I know they are truly anointed. And I know that you're not just talking, but I can feel you, woman of God. I can feel you.
Likewise.
So I would like to thank everyone for tuning in tonight to Mandy, the Mentor. If you have questions or comments, please feel free to email us at mentormandy@aol.com. And I would like to extend a message out to my mentors. Like always, mentors, do not give up on your mentees because God is producing a fragment of you. Be blessed.
Amen.